Breaking news and continuing coverage is certainly part of our daily duty in journalism, but what happens after a story is reported and once the cameras are turned off?
Jen Maxfield is an Emmy Award-winning reporter and news anchor who tackles that topic in her new book, More After the Break. A reporter returns to 10 unforgettable news stories, and she is here in studio to tell us more about it. Jen, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, Caitlin and Kara, thank you so much for having me on and taking an interest in the book.
Yeah, you know, more after the break. I was saying I was already following you before I knew you were coming on. And not just because I'm in the business, but there really is so much that people don't see. Why did you decide to write the book?
Well, I'm sure I feel similarly to the way that you both feel, which don't you ever go out on those news stories and you interview people and you're with people at these critical times in their lives and then you wonder whatever happens after that story airs and after their names fade from the headlines. And I thought that if I had a genuine curiosity about what happened to the people who I had covered on the news these past 2 decades, that readers and viewers would also want to know what happens to people who we hear so much about during these breaking news periods and then never hear about again.
I know. I mean, first of all, because you're focusing on 10 of these stories, how did you even decide how to go back to them?
It's a great question because I estimate I've done more than 10,000 interviews over my 22-year career. But there were just certain people who, whether I sat with in their living rooms or was with at a breaking news scene, there was something about that emotional connection that we formed that went beyond the 90-second story that aired on the news that evening. And I just felt that their stories deserved more. And I wanted to take a closer look and give them the opportunity to not only share more of their lives, but also more about what it's like for me and for all of us as journalists to be on the other side of that microphone and how these stories change us too.
Sure, absolutely. In fact, just some of the ones that you decided to, there's Paul Esposito, a 24-year-old waiter who lost both legs nearly his life in the Staten Island ferry crash. Tamika Tompkins, who was stabbed 27 times by her abusive ex-boyfriend. So you're right in that, you know, we are really good at telling people the news as it's happening, but we often lose track about these incredible, harrowing events and what happened to someone after.
The follow-up.
Exactly, and what's remarkable is when you do go back, whether it's years or in this case even decades sometimes in these stories, you realize that whatever the tragedy or the adversity was that the person was facing on the day that we covered them on the news, what's remarkable is the way people are able to triumph over that and really persevere through these issues, whether it's finding happiness again or even finding legislative change and forming new laws so that people don't have to go through these things again. It's remarkable what people are capable of, and I hope that people reading the book get as much inspiration out of these stories as I did writing about them.
Well, I think that's an interesting point too, because I'm sure, Kara, you get the question just as much, but people wonder what it's like for us on the other side of like you said, the microphone. So what did you take away from revisiting stories like this?
I think that, and I'm sure you'll both agree with this, the stories change us, right? I mean, we're not news robots. We're there with people on these days that they'll never forget. And I think the process of writing the book made me very grateful for the blessings in my life and also the recognition that no day is promised to us and it's important to enjoy all of them and to appreciate the community who comes out to help after these things happen to people, whether it's an injury or a death or natural disaster. The community really does rally in all of these cases.
Yeah, and you're actually going to be here. If people can come see you at one of my favorite places, the Mandel JCC Jewish Book Festival is tonight at 7 p.m. in West Hartford. So people can read. I know you're not going to have time to read the book, but you can get the book. You can talk to you, and I think this is great, even for your families. I know you're a mom. You've got kids. I'm sure you've gone home and told your story to your kids. You should be grateful this horrible thing happened today.
It's true, and then sometimes I don't even want to talk to them about it because I feel in some cases they were too young for that. But yes, I'm at the Mandel JCC tonight. It's great after all these years of presenting the news on camera to be having that conversation and hearing the feedback from viewers and readers also. So I'm very grateful for all of it.
Yeah, it's a great venue and wonderful thing to take everyone to. Thanks so